I'm Michael Bell, back with you with the CVB challenge, the Christ verse per book challenge. We're showing how Christ is the center of each of the 66 books of the Bible. And we've been going through every book in the Old Testament. We've arrived at the very last book of the Old Testament, the book of Malachi. Let me say quickly that we will continue on with this CVB challenge right through to the book of Revelation, showing how Jesus is the center, of course, of the New Testament books. But I hope this is instructive and meaty for you to show you how Jesus figures into the main theme of each of the New Testament books as well. Following this series, we're going to do a series called Jesus on Every Page. We'll begin with the book of Genesis. Jesus on every page of Genesis. Now in the CVB challenge, we just looked at one passage in the book of Genesis pointing to Jesus. But in the Jesus on Every Page series, we'll be looking at a ton of different texts within that 50-chapter book. It's showing how really Jesus is permeating that book in so many ways. There's so many types, so many figures, so many allusions to Christ in that book that you'll be impressed, I believe, with just how much information about Jesus we have way back in the book of Genesis. Now in Malachi 3:1, I will send my messenger. He will prepare the way before me. Now, the name Malachi is important, and I want to define it here in a second. But first, let's go to chapter 2, verse 7. It says, "For the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and people should seek instruction from his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts." So chapter 2, verse 7 identifies that a priest is a messenger. And in chapter 1, he says, "I will send my messenger." Now, the word messenger in Hebrew is malach. And Malachi, my messenger, is the title of this book and the name of the prophet. So we have Malachi. Malachi is the name of this prophet Malachi, and it means my messenger. And in chapter 2, verse 7, then, the text has identified the priest as the messenger. Now, what is going on here? Well, if we study the book of Luke, we see that John the Baptist is the fulfillment. In fact, Mark implies that John the Baptist is the fulfillment of this text. Matthew does, and John. But Luke specifically talks about the parents of John the Baptist. And it turns out they're both from Aaron's own family, both Zechariah and Elizabeth. So John the Baptist is a descendant of Aaron, the brother of Moses, the very first high priest. And it's very interesting then that John, as the forerunner, is a priestly forerunner of the person of Jesus Christ. Now, Malachi is written 400 years before the opening of the New Testament. So practically the last word we hear from God in the Old Testament is that a messenger is coming, a priestly messenger. And then there's 400 years of silence, and lo and behold, the first figure to appear is John the Baptist, descendant of Aaron. And he does come preparing the way before the Messiah. He makes the rough places smooth, the crooked places straight. The low places he fills in, the high places he brings down. And these are metaphors for the ministry of repentance and baptism that John came preaching. And of course, John will have the great privilege of baptizing even Jesus. Now, I want to take you to another passage in Malachi that speaks directly to John the Baptist and how important he is. The last few verses here in chapter 4, it says, "Remember the law of my servant Moses, the statutes and rules that I commanded him at Horeb for all Israel. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes." And then the last verse, verse 6, which I'm not going to emphasize right now. But the third to the last and second to the last verses in this book refer to Moses and Elijah. Now, as it turns out, in Matthew 17, we have Jesus going up on the Mount of Transfiguration, and who appeared there but Moses and Elijah, these same two figures. And who do they talk about on the way down from the mountain? They talk about John the Baptist. And the disciples asked Jesus, well, we thought Elijah was going to come before the Messiah, and here you are. Why hasn't Elijah come? And Jesus says, Elijah has come. He's come in the person of John the Baptist. And so John the Baptist has come really in the spirit of Moses, the lawgiver, and the spirit of Elijah. And both of those men split the water. Moses split the Red Sea. Elijah split the Jordan River. And both, in a sense, refer to baptism. And John the Baptist then is coming in that same spirit, a spirit of knowing what's right and what's wrong, a spirit of repenting before a holy God because judgment is coming, a spirit of baptism performed in the ministry of John the Baptist, but in the spirit of Moses and Elijah. And after him, the Messiah that we've been waiting. In a sense, Jesus can't come until John comes. He can't precede his own messenger, who is his forerunner. And then afterward, then Jesus comes as the successor of his own forerunner, the successor of John the Baptist. Now, if Jesus is on every page of the Bible, shouldn't he be on every page of your life and mine?